And then the more I traveled and the more you see, your priorities change. Even traveling, you start to see the world so differently. I'd already, as I was traveling, was constantly thinking, what can I do so I can travel more or be overseas more? Or you do something about it and you worry about the consequences later, but that's compassion. At the end of the day, how's your conscience? How do you feel about what you did today? Do you feel you've achieved something? Do you feel you've made a difference? Do you feel content? Can you sleep at night?
Welcome to The Human Experience. I'm Jennifer Peterkin, and this is episode 9, Theresa's story. Theresa was born and raised in the UK, but has made her home in Kenya with her husband Ibrahim. Theresa and Ibrahim run a guest house in Kitale, Kenya called Karibuni Lodge. Karibuni, by the way, means welcome in Swahili. When I visited Kenya last summer with Neema, I stayed at Theresa's place. Karibuni Lodge is beautiful, complete with lush surroundings, a welcoming atmosphere, delicious food, and strong coffee. Theresa was so generous in sharing her story, from her journey of coming to and settling in Kenya to the community in which she has grown roots. You can visit the show notes to get more information on Karibuni Lodge, as well as Child Rescue Kenya, the organization Theresa is involved with. I know you're not originally from Kenya, correct?
No, I'm not. No, I'm British.
Okay.
I was born in London. When I was 11, my parents moved to the west of Ireland. And so I did my high schooling in the west of Ireland, but I then moved back to London when I left school and did college in London, got a job. I worked in the business law, corporate law sector, did a lot of mergers and acquisitions and all that sort of stuff. And that's where I stayed for many, many years until this little thing at the back of my head that pushed me to travel finally pushed me to really travel, not just for 2 weeks at a time or 3 weeks at a time. And I came to a point where I was in between jobs. And it's, if I don't do this now, it will never happen because I'll just come back and I'll be on the career thing and I'll never do it. So I didn't look for another job. I just got a backpack, packed up, bought a round-the-world ticket and decided I was going to take off. And then one of my best friends said, at the last minute, I want to do this too, can I come? And I'm like, oh, yes, please. Yeah. So 2 of us traveled for a year together.
Oh, cool.
Across South America, Australia, New Zealand, Asia. And in Australia, I met up with another friend who I'd actually met traveling in China years before. And she wanted to do Africa. And my other friend was going to stop in Africa because her family lived in South Africa. So we met up in South Africa. And Christine just was going to travel with me for about 6 weeks. And during that 6 weeks, I met a Kenyan man at Victoria Falls who I subsequently married. And which wasn't a part of the plan at all.
Never is.
And so we spent a considerable amount of time together in Southern Africa, traveling around. And we decided to set up a guest house together in Tanzania because we were thinking, he's a chef. What can we do together that works for both, that we both can be interested in, enjoy doing together? And we ended up running a guest house together because as I'd traveled, I'd stayed in some real... I'm trying to think of... There's no polite way to say it.
You don't have to be polite.
Yeah. So, budget accommodation that was just dreadful, awful.
Yeah.
So we decided we're going to set up something that's budget to medium, that we would stay in ourselves and hopefully enjoy the experience. And that's what we ended up doing. But we started out in Tanzania. And we spent 4 years in Tanzania. And we just found Tanzania difficult with red tape because we were both foreigners.
Okay.
And the visas and the costs and all the rest of it, it just got ridiculous. So we decided Kenya made sense because he's Kenyan.
Okay.
And we don't have to deal with all of that nonsense.
Yeah.
So we moved back to Kenya. And we had some friends who lived in northern Kenya. we were visiting them, and they suggested we set up a place in northern Kenya, in Turkana, which is in the desert, about 3 hours north of here, 4 hours north of here. And that was our original plan. And we got some land up there and we started to build. And we were going to link our two centres. They're closer to Kitale than us. And then some idiot cut down a forest and diverted a river, which went right through our house one night.
Oh my goodness.
And flooded us. And we lost our home, we lost our vehicle, we lost everything we owned, photographs, clothes, furniture, everything just went down, literally down the river. And I mean, you're from the States, you know what nature can do when it goes crazy. So we, woke up in the middle of the night, heard frogs outside our bedroom window. Now we're in the middle of the desert. Got up to see what frogs were doing outside the window, went up to my knees in water.
Oh my
and it just rose and rose and rose. And we got out. And we got out in one piece, and we could be thankful for that.
Yeah.
So that's how we ended up in Kitale. This was the closest hospital, the closest town.
Okay.
And my husband got very sick. There was with whatever was in the river, water. Because we kept going back trying to salvage stuff for a few days. And he got very, very sick. So he had to be sent to hospital here.
Oh, wow.
And so I rented a small house here for a month. So we fell into this by accident.
Yeah.
Because this was never our plan. We had this vision of being somewhere more remote, and we ended up in a small town.
Yeah.
And it just became an easy thing to think, well, while we're figuring out what we're going to do next, we can rent out the spare room.
Sure.
Then we'll fix up and look for a place, and that's how we ended up here.
Yeah.
And then gradually we met people who were looking for somewhere to stay. We advertised, and it just took off. And we've been here for nearly 15 years now.
Wow. That's amazing.
And then in all of that 15 years, we've ended up getting involved in the community, getting involved in a lot of non-profits and charities. Since my first year here, I've worked as a volunteer with a street children's charity. And I've been the chair lady of that for 15 years. And we deal with children on the streets, youth needing employment, training. We've tried to help out other charities along the way that have needed some assistance with legal work or administration work, or networked with other charities. So I've also got a medical charity running on the side for children that need surgeries. And through all of that, we ended up with some of the children that needed surgeries and needed medical help. They might end up staying here in between hospital visits.
Yeah.
And somehow or other, we ended up fostering or adopting like 15 or 16 of them. And we've also fostered a lot who've gone home that we're still involved with their education or whatever. So I'm like the old lady who lives in a shoe. I've got many children. So I'm stuck here now because I'm so involved in so much. And I've got children in school and, so...
But it's beautiful, the life you've built.
It's fulfilling.
Yeah, that's great.
It's been very fulfilling.
Yeah. So you were in legal work, you said, correct? So I feel like that's such a pipe dream for so many corporate people who are like, I wish I could just give it all up and go move to South America or Africa or something. Yeah. And you actually did it.
I did it, and I was terrified doing it. But, and I always thought I'd go back. I mean, it was like, I'm taking a year out. And I will come back and get back into it again. But no, that didn't happen. And the more I traveled and the more you see, your priorities change. Even traveling, you start to see the world so differently.
Sure.
From having a 9-to-5 existence. You just see how people are suffering. You see reality. You see what's important.
Yeah.
And you think, I can't ever go back to doing that ever again. Not the way I was doing it. So.
Right.
But it's been useful, and, I like to think that the skills I've had in a career have been put to use for charities here and people that come to me for some advice, and so I still use it.
Sure, it certainly sounds like it.
Yeah, it doesn't earn me anything, but it's been useful. It's certainly, been useful. It's been useful for the charity we run with and other charities that have come to us at some point where they've had a crisis, and we've managed to get them through court cases or just straighten out their corporate governance or write a manual for them or whatever it might be. So it's been useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you set up formal charities or for each of these different things, like the medical and the business? Or
It depends what it is. The Street Children's Charity is a formal charity. A lot of the charities that we work with, if they weren't already formal, we've tried to formalize them. The medical charity isn't formal because it's basically, I've just done that myself with a friend of mine.
Yeah.
So we've never formalized it. We thought about it, and then we're like, it wouldn't be the same charity if we were to formalize it, because it is basically the two of us running it, because I do the fundraising or I put my hand in my pocket.
Right.
And my friend does all the taking the children up and down to the hospitals. She's a retired school teacher. And that's how she fulfills her life. You know, she's a widow. Her children have grown up. That's what she does.
And is she Kenyan?
She's Kenyan.
Wow.
She's absolutely incredible. Then we'll find cases we can't handle on our own. We'll try and find a partner to try and take on a child that needs to go into care after their surgery or medical intervention.
It's really cool to hear about all of the different parts of community you've surrounded yourself with. And you've really just planted yourself and allowed those roots to just kind of reach out and help all those around you. So that's lovely.
And hopefully, the guest house does that, because I would think more than 90% of our customers are here doing a project of some kind, working with a non-profit, visiting a non-profit. So that's interesting because they can all network through here as well. They'll meet other people and get to talk to somebody, and it'll be, oh, what do you do? Well, we drill boreholes. We need a borehole. Let's talk. So it's nice to see that happen, that people can network by staying through here, or can, when they've left, contact me and say, look, we need. Do you know such? Do you know someone that can do that? So it makes us different to a hotel. I couldn't run a hotel. That's too impersonal, and I like doing this because you make friends. You get to know people. You have people who come back. You make friends. You make really good friends, and you stay in touch with them for years.
Sure.
We had someone staying last week who was our first guest when we started this 15 years ago, and he and his wife stayed last week.
That's so
and
special.
So it's and you see their children, you see their grandchildren, so it's not just a job. It's far more than just a job. Yeah. No, I mean, and that really does shine through. And it's a completely different experience than you would get at a hotel, or even just, the short-term rentals that are really popular right now, like the Airbnbs and stuff. It really is like coming into your home and being welcomed into your home. It's been lovely, actually. I've never experienced anything like this, so I've really enjoyed it. So you said you met your husband while you were in South Africa? Zimbabwe.
In Zimbabwe. Did you guys hit it off right away?
Yes. Yeah. But as friends right away.
Sure.
So we traveled around together. We stayed in touch. We visited each other. Yeah, and it took off from there. It's a big difference. It's like you're going to go back to the UK and pack up, basically, and go to a country, because we would agree to meet up in Tanzania and investigate living in Tanzania. I'd never set foot in Tanzania in my life. So, yes, it was a big,
Yeah, so why Tanzania then?
Well, we just thought that, it was opening up to tourism. It was developing. Maybe there's a slot there for us.
Sure.
So, yeah. And we did. We loved Tanzania. I don't regret being in Tanzania. It just became more difficult. They were looking for people to invest huge amounts of money in high-end tourism at that time. And we weren't those people. We were looking at doing this sort of thing, budget to mid-range. So
sure.
We didn't have enough money for them, I think.
I think it all worked out for the best.
No, it worked out for the best. No regrets.
And how do you like the area you're in now? Because you said it wasn't your first choice.
Well, Kitale wasn't our first choice. We loved remote. We like peace and quiet. We liked the idea of being somewhere more remote. I love the desert scenery in Turkana. I just really love, it was really beautiful up there. So, this was almost too comfortable. But we've grown to love it now. It's a small town. It's growing.
Yeah.
But yes, it has its advantages. We have supermarkets. There was no supermarket when we first came here.
Okay.
There's decent clinics, decent hospitals, decent schools for the kids.
Yeah.
We have electricity and water. All those things, which,
Sure.
living in the middle of nowhere, you don't have. So we've done both. Mm-hmm. And I suppose as I'm getting older, I quite like the comfort. so I don't know that, I love going up there. The children love going up there. We go up there and camp, and we've got friends who live up there, and we go up there a couple of times a year for a holiday. But I don't know that I'd want to live up there again now.
Yeah.
So maybe God did me a favour. I don't. There might have been an easier way to have done it, but
than a flood, I think so.
Than a flood, a bit extreme. But
that is biblical.
I think I took the hint.
So.
Yes, I took the hint.
I mean, that's such an incredible journey. I'm just still. You seem to have gone from one end of the spectrum to the other.
Oh yes,
But by choice, it wasn't like something had happened and you were running away. It was just like you really felt the need to just explore. Yeah. Did you have family?
My family is still still in the UK and the West of Ireland. And that's been the most difficult thing, that I'm far from family. And I don't know if Facebook and the internet and things hadn't come along, I don't know, whether I would have survived being so far away from family and not being able to just get on a plane whenever you feel like it, because it costs so much. And it's tough being away from family. But at the same time, even my life in London, I didn't see my family all the time. You're working, you're caught up in everything. They're working, they're caught up with their kids and their other things. And so you don't see each other constantly anyway. So I've got used to it, and we have the internet.
Yeah.
And we can Zoom, we can talk to each other, we can send silly messages backwards and forwards on Facebook. I'm probably more in touch now than I was when I first moved, certainly.
Yeah. It's come a long way.
It's easier. Staying in contact is much easier. Knowing what people are doing is much easier. The phone system is better. It used to be you'd make a phone call and you wait 10 minutes to hear the person on the other end.
Oh, my.
That's extreme.
No, I understand.
But the time lag, and then you couldn't hear them half the time. And so, that's made it much, much easier.
Yeah. Was your family surprised when you said, all right?
No, because I don't think my mother expected me to stay away so long. Okay. I think she thought, she's got to do this and she'll do it and she'll be back. Mm-hmm. They weren't surprised when I upped and did it, because once I'd gone travelling, I think they knew that, that's it. She's gone. She's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And already as I was travelling, before I met my husband and before I decided to do this, as I was travelling, I was constantly thinking, what can I do so I can travel more or be overseas more? And I'd looked at teaching English in Asia and, all sorts of possibilities. I can go back out there and do some voluntary work, or it was already playing in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go back to what I was doing before.
Yeah, I don't want that life anymore.
I don't want that anymore. And, I say it to my kids, because they're all, I've got one who's leaving school this year and he's agonising over whether he should go to college or whether he should take a year out. And I'm like, don't agonise over it. Just do the one that feels right.
Yeah.
Because it's never too late to change your mind again.
I love
You can take a year out. You don't have to go to college immediately. Or go to college.
Right.
And if you don't like it in 3 months, 6 months, just say so. And,
right.
Because I think we've all come through this, you must do things this way, you must do that, you must do that, you must do that, and then you're expected to do that. And we do it because we feel we have to.
Yeah.
And we don't.
No, not at all. I love that so much.
We don't
Especially
have to.
At that age, too.
No.
It's like you don't know anything about yourself.
Yeah.
How are you going to make life decisions that seem so permanent? But I agree. Nothing. There's very little in life that's permanent.
Yeah. And I think COVID's taught people that.
Yeah.
An awful lot of people are dropping out of big careers.
Yep.
Having been at home for a year, realising I don't want to go back and do that anymore. And it's like, well, good for you. If you can find something that makes you happy, do it. Because it's not all about the money. It really is not all about the money and the
not at all.
comfort. It really is about, at the end of the day, how's your conscience? How do you feel about what you did today? Do you feel you've achieved something? Do you feel you've made a difference? Do you feel content?
Yeah.
Can you sleep at night? And that's it.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of COVID, how did you guys weather COVID?
Oh, that was, I hate to say it, we actually quite enjoyed it. But at the same time, I worried incessantly throughout it.
Sure.
I had the children home and my college kids home for the whole 6 months or so that Kenya was in full lockdown. Pretty much the whole town was shut down, or most of it, except all the non-essential businesses were closed down. And we were just here, and we homeschooled. And so I homeschooled all of them for half a day, 5 days a week, and the other half a day they were free to do whatever activities they wanted to do. And we had the most amazing quality family time I think I've ever had with my kids, because I wasn't working. My husband wasn't working. We had time with them.
Sure.
We had just quality family time. So even though we were doing homeschool, it was fun.
Yeah.
And I had my older college kids here, and they were helping me homeschool some of them as well, and doing the subjects that I'm useless at, like Swahili, grammar. So we enjoyed it, and there were enough of them to keep each other amused. We're lucky. We have a beautiful garden, beautiful space.
Yeah.
So it was, in that sense, it was really nice to have the whole family together, to not have interruptions, to not have to go somewhere, to not have to work, not have a rigid timetable, and that was great. But throughout it all, I'm thinking we're earning absolutely zero income, because we live in a country where there's no social welfare, there's no assistance. The government gave no help to businesses that had to close down, except tax breaks. It's like, a tax break is no use unless you're actually earning some money.
Right.
At the back of my mind was this worry about how long is this going to go on for? We can weather 3 months or 6 months. We're growing all our own vegetables. We're not going to starve. And there are people far worse off than us. But when is the business going to start coming back again? And I think all of us at the beginning of COVID thought 3 months, 6 months, it's all going to be over.
Right.
And it wasn't.
And there was that space to enjoy it, because you were like, well, there's an end in sight.
All these clever people will come up with an answer to this. And then you realise, actually, they're not coming up with an answer.
No, not at all.
And even if they do, people aren't. And even now, people are only starting to travel 2 years later.
Yeah.
And there's still restrictions and there's still problems. So, suddenly you realise after 6 months, yes, the small businesses are opening again and the schools are opening again, but we're not going to have any business really for at least another 6 months to a year or more. So it's been tough.
Yeah.
It's been really, really tough. This May, June is the first time people have started to really start coming back again.
Yeah, so really
it's good
2 years later.
Good 2 years.
Does Kenya rely on tourism?
Yes, the agriculture and tourism are the two biggest earners for Kenya.
Wow, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, agriculture's number one, tourism is number two. I took the children to the coast in April. We found a really cheap Airbnb, and we went to the coast in April. And we pretty much had it to ourselves. And usually the coast of Kenya is, full of foreign tourists. It's one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. It's hotel after hotel after hotel. Whole families work in the hotels. They're all half of them are out of work. Half the hotels are still shut down. Yeah. For certain areas of the country that rely totally on tourism, it must be absolute hell for those people.
Yeah.
The waiter is married to the cook, and their son is working, at the front desk, and all three are out of work.
Right.
So, it's a very big sector.
Yeah, I mean, and we know that across the globe, but especially, as you were saying, in a country where there's no social net to
there's
catch
no safety
you.
net. Yeah.
That makes for an especially difficult situation.
Yeah. It was tough for us, but, it was tough for people who work in the local market and couldn't take their produce to the market for 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
It's tough for people who have a little hairdressers in town, and they were shut down because they're non-essential, so they couldn't work for 6 months. And they're living a real day-to-day existence, some of them. And so, people really struggled with it. And some are still struggling. If they're in sectors that haven't recovered, they're still struggling with it.
Right.
And now that we finally seem to be seeing the light at the end of the tunnel of COVID, we now have massive inflation here. Maize prices doubled. Fuel prices have gone up by 20-30%. Everything is just going crazy right now, the prices.
Right.
So even though people have sort of managed to get back to work, they're now having to deal with all of that.
Right. So you can't even afford to live at that point. So fun
There's
dealing
always
with the government.
something,
Right?
isn't there?
Always something for
There's
sure.
always something.
So is Kenya your favorite place in Africa that you've been?
I don't know. It's really hard to pick a favourite because everywhere's so different.
Yeah.
And Africa's so diverse.
It is so big. That's kind of an unfair question.
I loved, when I first started travelling around, I spent a lot of time in Egypt, Morocco, Northern Africa, and I loved Morocco. I've been to West Africa, and that's beautiful. South Africa is also beautiful. Countries like Namibia, Botswana, the scenery is stunning. But Kenya, I guess, is the one I've lived in the longest, so it's my favourite in that sense because I'm totally at home here now.
Yeah.
It's just home. And again, it's a very diverse country, so you can go 3 hours any direction and see something totally different, totally new. So,
mountains,
desert,
ocean,
everything. So it is beautiful. It helps that most people speak English, that its infrastructure is not perfect, but it's there. It's fairly safe to travel around. So it's got pretty much everything you need.
Good.
Yeah.
I mean, this is my first time in Kenya, and the vibrancy of everything is just so stunning. And you turn, I told my mom, I feel like I keep taking the same picture over and over again because I'm just like, but I need that red dirt road and that tree in a picture because it's just so lush and gorgeous. And I didn't think it was desert where I was coming, but I didn't know what to expect. The only other place in Africa I've been thus far is Egypt. So
that's very different.
Yes.
Yeah. The nice thing about Kenya is it is so diverse. You can go to somewhere like Lamu on the coast and it's very Islamic and very different. And then come here and it's all green and farmland. Go 2 hours north, you're right in the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Go to the coast, it's just stunning beaches. You've got 5-star hotels. You've got slums. You've got total extremes. So, yeah.
You sound very comfortable even when you were traveling just on your own, backpacking around. But what kind of, especially when you settled into life, everyday life, what were your biggest culture shocks, or even marrying somebody from a different culture, just not in a bad way, obviously, but just, this is not what I'm used to.
I don't know. I mean, thinking about it now, I suppose culture shock of marrying someone from a different culture, not really. I mean, I've always had a pretty diverse range of friends from all sorts of backgrounds, so that wasn't such a big thing. I think dealing with being perceived because I've got white skin that I'm rich.
Okay.
I still find that very hard to deal with. And even when you're in a community where people know you, they know what you do, they've got some concept of what you probably earn, and still being perceived as you must be rich.
Yeah. I
find that hard to deal with culturally, that people think that because I'm white, they have the right to walk up to me and ask me for stuff all the time. that I still find frustrating. I suppose seeing the level of poverty here and the fact that no one is really doing anything about it, government-wise, that I don't see an awful lot is being done about it. Seeing that there's still children on the streets of our local town and the numbers are increasing, not decreasing. And the only people who are really doing anything about it are charities, not government organizations, seeing the amount of children needing more food, families needing more assistance, and that not being here. And that's hard to deal with, that after all this time, there's still no real social construct here. All right, you might not want it to go to the extreme of everyone just lives on handouts, but there could be more done by now.
Right.
And that there's just not enough being done. So I still find that hard to deal with that. But that's about it. I mean, I've got used to everything else. You know, there's things and you think, well, that's a weird thing to believe, or that's a weird, but we do it in the West as well.
Oh, gosh, yes. And, so, I if your husband was here, I'd ask him the same question.
Yeah. You know, silly beliefs or whatever. And I'm like, well, that's everywhere. It's just different. So.
Yeah. Every place has a culture and a way of life. And, and it's so beautiful to be able to integrate with each other and to just be contributing to each other's lives and within each other's cultures. But we all have it.
And I guess corruption here as well is a bit of the fact that corruption here is from like the grassroots level all the way up. Whereas in the West, we have just as much corruption, but it kind of isn't all the way from the bottom to the top. It kind of, it's just at the top.
It's pretty much at the top, yeah.
It's pretty much at the top. It doesn't go all the way down. And so people here accept it and expect it. And that's quite sad that even that can still happen. And it's accepted.
Yeah.
And expected. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's still hard to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, you were telling us the other night about the school fees here in Kenya and just how the education is somewhat subsidized by the government, but not totally. And then there's so many other things that are required. And so you have this thing that's supposed to be easily accessible for everybody. Theoretically, it is. But when you get down to the nitty-gritty of it, it's actually not. It's something that people still struggle just to afford an education when that should be a right for everybody.
Yes.
Which is why you have done so much trying to help provide those school fees for people that just can't do it, that can't make the ends meet and can't make it work.
Yes, it's it's one of those things where it's like, well, I thought education was free in Kenya, and it's like the government will say, well, it is free because the tuition is free, but all the rest of it's not free. The uniform's not free, the shoes are not free, the transport is not free, the school lunch is not free, the books are not free, the exam fees are not free. The
desk.
The desk, you have to buy your desk.
Blew my mind.
Yes.
You have to buy your desk.
Yeah, you have to buy a desk or pay for a desk. So, there's so much.
Right. So on the surface, it looks so simple.
Everybody's entitled to primary and secondary level education.
Right.
But it's a struggle for a lot of people. And so the schools that will accept less, the ones that will accept you not having a school sweater or that you can come to school in the wrong shoes and turn a blind eye, they tend to, not have the same academic standards as sadly as the ones that expect you to come to school in pristine uniform and all the rest of it.
Right.
So, so the education suffers to some degree.
Yeah.
They're supposed to teach in English, but most of these children have never spoken a word of English until they get to school. In the more rural schools, they're brought up in Swahili or their local tribal language. They haven't learnt any English. So they're going into school at 5 or 6 years of age and suddenly being taught everything has to be in English.
Right.
So they haven't had the advantage of an urban child who's been surrounded by English language or TV or whatever, that they can suck up some language.
Yeah.
And some of the rural schools, the teacher will just give up and say, well, it's just easier to teach them in their own language because they're not going to go anywhere anyway and they don't understand what I'm saying. And so they're at some of those children are at a disadvantage because they don't have the language skill of somebody in Kitale or Nairobi or one of the bigger towns. So, education's got a way to go.
Yeah. I mean, you're so in tune to what's going on in your community, which I think is fantastic. How did you start to get involved when you came here?
Well, when we did the same in Tanzania. When once we started our business, it was like, okay, we see there's need all around us. Let's look for some way we can get involved and we can help a little bit. In Tanzania, we helped set up some guys. We trained them, got them trained as tour guides, and set them up with a little tourism office.
Cool.
So they could do tours, take people on hikes. We lived in a mountainous area there, so they could do hikes and camping and stuff. But here it was, we don't know. We want to do something. We see children on the streets. What's going, So we looked at children's homes, children's charities, visited a lot of them. And then we found this one that I'm still working with, which we really liked because they weren't just plucking children and putting them into a children's home. They were investigating each child's family, background. Why are you on the street? What's the problem at home? And they would go home and investigate the home and reintegrate the child wherever possible. So a lot of the children might be on the street because there was no food at home, or they weren't in school because the parents couldn't afford the uniform, or they'd had an argument with their father or mother, or something simple.
Sure.
Or mother was sick, so they were looking for food. So we liked that because they were going into the family and trying to fix the family and help the family keep their child at home, which is where the child really wanted to be. So we started to try and help them as much as we could. We had donation boxes and donation baskets, or we'd buy some food from time to time, or find out what they needed, or that's how we started to get involved with that. It was, we want to do something where we feel we're helping the community. And I've never been a strong proponent of children's homes because I think that's just putting a Band-Aid on it. It's not really preventing a problem. You're taking a child who has a family and putting them into a children's home. And in the short term, it's helping the child and feeding the child. But at the end of the day, that family is still there and they still have the same problems.
Sure.
And all that's happened now is that mother and that father have lost their child, and that child has lost their parents.
Yeah.
And yes, they're being fed and going to school and being cared for, but there's still the emotional trauma.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there. And I'm not saying that children's homes are bad, because that there is more need here than is good, but there is a need. But a lot of those children do not need to be in a children's home. And the reasoning has often been because they're poor, or they're coming from a poor background, and people look at the background and think, oh, we must get them out of that terrible slum, or they're living in a mud hut. We must get them out of there and put them in a nice, comfortable home. And it's like, that's their parents and their siblings that they're leaving behind. What about them? They need help too. And just plucking that child is not going to be the solution. If the child is in danger, yes.
Yeah.
But look at, can we help that family?
Yeah.
Can that child stay there if we help that family? And not enough of that was being done. For many years, a lot of it was, this child is hungry, this child is sick, this child's not being well cared for at home, take them and put them in a home. And short term, yes, but longer term, that's not solving anything.
No.
We need to get into the communities and fix the communities and fix the families.
Right.
And the child stays at home.
Holistic healing.
Yes.
And that's what's needed for community.
Yes. Otherwise, all that happens is you've helped one child, but you've left behind 4 brothers and sisters who are now going to have children who are going to need the same thing that child needed.
Right. The cycle continues.
Yeah, the cycle will continue.
Yeah.
So we've gradually over time, even our organisation at the beginning, we did have a children's home. We've shut it down.
Yeah.
We're like, we don't need to take any of these children into a home. We might find the odd 1 or 2 children on our travels who cannot stay at home, cannot go to their aunt or uncle, cannot go to a foster home, cannot go to another relation, and they might need to go in a home. But it's very few, percentage-wise. So we concentrate on reintegration as much as possible and help the family. Is there a youth in the family we can train to do something? Let's go and train them. Is there a parent in the family we can train to do something, or give a business grant, or help them farm better? Let's teach them organic farming. let's teach them a skill. Let's take you to be a hairdresser and you can support your family and that child can stay at home. We'll put the child through school. We'll help them with the uniform. We'll help with school fees. But the child stays at home.
Yeah.
And the whole family is better off at the end of
Absolutely.
the day. And that's what NAMA, who you're visiting, that's what they're doing, which is how we got involved with NAMA. It's like, okay, NAMA need a little bit of help right now. We'll help NAMA. NAMA are doing the same sort of approach as us.
Yeah.
You're taking a youth, you're looking at their holistic well-being, not just training them to be a hairdresser or a dressmaker or whatever. It's not as simple as that. You're giving them life skills training, morals training, spiritual training, counseling, guidance, visiting the family.
Yeah.
The whole holistic thing makes sure that the family become accepting of this child, the child is accepting of a family, that they can help heal each other. And it works.
It does. And it's so beautiful when people are willing to put in the time and the effort that it takes. Because in a way, it is easier to just pluck a child out or anybody out and say, here is the model, here's what we're doing. And it almost becomes like a factory setting.
Yes.
You just kind of run through the same thing over and over again. And I'm sure that's very easy to raise money for as well, because you get to say, oh, look, here we have this poor, person, child, whatever, give us money and we'll make sure they have a better life. But like you've said, that leaves everybody else behind. And there is a better way to create community and holistic healing and generational healing, which I think is so cool in what you're doing, because you've really, like I said before, you've really planted here and your roots have just gone out, and the focus on holistic community is just such a beautiful thing.
It's important that you cannot take one member of a family and fix one member of a family. You have to fix the whole family. And if you take a child from the family, you're either going to create a complete cut between the family and the child, they're completely separated, or that child is constantly going to yearn to go back to family.
Yeah.
And so they've got these unresolved issues constantly that they want their family, or they're missing their family, and it does create a big problem. It's far, it's the only way you're going to mend society is to keep families healthy and whole.
Yeah, I agree.
And any programs like NAMA or Child Rescue Kenya, where I do my stuff, and that do that, I think we see successes. We put youth through training. We see a year or two later when you go to visit them that, they're working, their families are happier and healthier than how we found them. And we're done with them then.
Yeah.
They're like, you're now independent. You don't need us anymore. It's taken no time at all, a year or 2 or 3 invested in you, and your whole family is better off. Right. Whereas if we'd taken you and put you into a children's home,
right,
10 years, 18 years
plus, because all of the trauma that comes with that.
And you're going to leave a children's institution, and you're going to need help to get on to be independent and stand on your own 2 feet, because you've never done it.
And you no longer have a support system.
And you no longer have a community or a support system.
Yeah.
That's been cut off from you. You don't know your community. So, you really have to think twice about taking a child and putting them into that sort of environment, I think. It can be done better. And nowadays we should be able to do it better. We should be looking more at preventing.
Yeah, we should know better.
Preventing children ending up on the street, preventing families being split apart. We should know better now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There was a time and a place for it, and it's no longer.
It's long past, yes.
There will always be a child that needs a children's home.
Yes.
There will always be a need. But I think for many years it was just too easy to do that. And now it's not the right approach.
Yeah.
Not right. There will always be children. I have placed children myself in children's home in the last couple of years that have needed it. They're in danger at home, or there is nobody who will take them on, especially children with special needs where there's been, issues or medical problems that people are not going to care for them properly. Mm-hmm. There's always going to be a need, but poverty is not a good enough excuse.
Yes, Absolutely. Yeah. I love your whole story. So you've been doing this obviously for a long time. What are your dreams for the future? What do you hope to see happen in the future?
I'd like to see, like I say, more organizations that are focusing on helping people acquire life skills, providing more counseling and a place for people to go. I mean, if I had money, I would love to set up citizens' advice bureaus in towns where people could just go and get advice and information. And if they have a problem, they can just walk through a door and say, look, this is my problem. What can I do? Where do I go? Who can help me? Because that's lacking. And I've seen the difference that good social workers and good counsellors can make in an organisation, not just to children, but to adults.
Absolutely.
And there needs to be more of that here. I'd love to see more of that people could walk off the street and find help, not be struggling in a village or at home and not knowing what to do, and then making bad choices because they don't know what the alternatives are. I'd love to see more information available, more resources available to people here. And then personally, I just want to get my kids through school, through education, to a point in their lives where they can end up doing what they want to do, that they can have contented, fulfilled lives, whatever they end up doing, and not feel pushed into stuff, that they know that you have choices in life and you might make a bad choice, but that doesn't define your future. You can come back from that. You can learn from it, make the next choice a good choice, and hope that they all manage to do that and feel that you can do what you want to do, up to, within reason. But you're in control of your own destiny.
Absolutely.
Don't be forced into doing things. And there's just too much of that going on, that kids and youths feel they have to do things a particular way and they don't have a choice.
Right.
So I would like to see more that people have more freedom to do what they want to do.
Yeah, freedom.
Yeah.
I think that sums up a lot of that, right? Because so much of what you hope for your community is about the freedom to make choices.
You don't have to follow all the conventions.
Yeah.
You have to follow the laws and
right.
all the rest of it, but you don't have to follow all the social conventions.
Sure.
You have a mind of your own.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Make your choice.
So because of your experiences, what you have walked through in your life, what does it mean to you to live with compassion?
It's a choice people make every day when people ask you for help or you see someone who needs help. Like I say, it's hard because I think of myself as compassionate, but I still do get irritated when people are constantly asking me for stuff. But what irritates me is a lot of what they're asking for, they don't really need it. And I think I get frustrated because people will walk up to me with the kind of, can you help me put my kid through university? And I'm like, but you're a teacher, you're earning a salary, you have a car. I don't have a car. I sold my car years ago to pay my kids' school fees. You're asking me for something and you earn more than I do. You don't need it. So, I probably come across as this cold-hearted, miserable woman. But at the same time, if somebody like my friend Rosemary will send me a photograph of, I was in the village and I found this baby today. And I'm like, get the baby to the hospital now. And we will figure out how we're going to pay for it later. So, to me, compassion is if you see someone who is in need and it's genuine need, you do something about it.
Yeah.
No questions asked.
Yeah.
You do something about it and you worry about the consequences later, but that's compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Worry about the consequences later. I love it. That's a tagline right
so
there.
I always say to my friend Rosemary, is the one who helps with the medical stuff, I'm like, we're not taking on any more new cases, Rosemary. I have no income at the moment. We can't afford it. So let's just focus on the ones we're already helping that need to, to go back for another surgery or need to, to replace a wheelchair or whatever it might be. And she's constantly, oh, well, there's this child. No, this woman brought a child to me. And I'm like, okay, well, just that one.
Just one more.
Just one. Yes.
There's always one more. But you know what? That's Like you said, that's what compassion is.
That's what compassion is. You go out to, during COVID, we went to visit some of the children that we work with who were off school and we were worried about, because a lot of them are in boarding schools or special schools where they're getting fed. And when the schools were closed down, it's like, how are things for them at home? Mm-hmm. And we were horrified, even Rosemary, and she's seen more than I have, that people were almost starving. And the child who is useless because they're disabled or they get less than the ones who are able-bodied, because it's like, we only have one bowl of maize and guess who's going to get fed today? Yeah. And so, even then we were like, we've got to get food to these people. And I'm not going to worry about, I'm dipping into money that I need to feed my own kids or send them back to school with. Right now, those kids are going to die. So we'll worry about the consequences later. So it's hard to live here and not be compassionate.
Yeah.
Because something's going to hit you in the face every day that's going to make you think, how can you turn your back on that or walk away from it? Sure.
This community is faced with life and death in a way that...
We're not in the West.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's every time I go back, I find it harder and harder because my priorities are so different.
Sure.
You got someone who's the end of the world, my dishwasher is broken and we won't be able to afford one for 3 months. And, you're trying not to laugh because it's like, really?
Yeah.
If I had a dishwasher, I'd have sold it by now to send someone to hospital. But you can't get upset with people in the West because we don't see it. I mean, I was the same. You don't see it.
It's a completely different life.
And you don't have to see it if you don't want to. You just have to turn off the TV. You don't have to see it. You can just pretend it doesn't exist. You can't do that here. You cannot.
No.
You cannot do that.
You are in constant proximity.
Yes, you can't do it.
Yeah.
So, you're just faced with that decision every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's such vibrancy here and such lushness here and in the scenery and the people. And it's such a beautiful place. And so there is a tension there of beauty and suffering that is constantly held. And you can't really turn away from either, they're just always in front of you. And so that's a tension that a lot of people don't have to hold because they don't have to be confronted with suffering in their community on a day-to-day basis like that.
Yeah. Like I say, you're in the West, you can turn it on and turn it off, and every now and then send some money to the Red Cross and feel you've done something.
Check mark.
Yeah, sure. And we've all done it. I've been there too. We've all done it, but it is much harder to be like that here because you are faced with it. Well, depending on where you live and what kind of lifestyle you have, you're going to be faced with it more often.
Sure.
If you live in a nice fancy house on the coast or a fancy apartment in the best part of Nairobi, you're not going to see it every day. Mm-hmm. If you live in a town like Kitale, if all you're going to do is go to the supermarket and back, you're not going to see it. But once you get to know people and get to know the community and visit people and travel anywhere, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're willing to open your eyes, it's everywhere, right? And like you said at the beginning, when you expose yourself to things, especially through travel, your life just changes. You change as a person. And you can't unknow the things that you learn through those experiences.
Yeah, I said that to my friend last week when she sent me this photograph of a child that we'd helped last week. And she sent me the picture and I said, I can't now unsee that, can I?
No.
I can't unsee it. We have to do something about this now. Yeah.
But it's a special calling, I think, because not everybody can do that.
No, not everybody can. And, and it's easy to be judgmental, but you can't be. Not everybody can handle it. Not everybody can do it. Not everybody can deal with it. So, there are some of us that have to do these things and there are others that have to do other things.
Right.
For some people, philanthropy is always going to just be, I'll give you money to do it and you do it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to see it. And it's like, well, that's fine. You're still doing your bit.
Right.
If all you want to do is send some money, that's fine. It's not for everybody. It's really not for everybody. being a social worker, I couldn't be a social worker. I
Right.
know I couldn't do it. I admire social workers tremendously that can do the things and listen to the stories they listen to on a daily basis and counsel people. I don't have the patience. I couldn't do it. So, yeah, we all have our different
thing
we have to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take more of your time. You've been so gracious with me already. I just want to thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
I have loved getting to hear a little bit of your story. And I've loved staying here. It is just beautiful, and I do feel like I've been welcomed into your home.
You have been welcomed into our home. And we hope you'll come back again.
Oh, I'm planning on it.
Yes, I hope so.
Thank you.
Thank you. It's been fun talking to you.
Thank you so much for listening to The Human Experience. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please subscribe, share it with others, and leave a rating and review on your favorite platform. Everyone has a story, and I'd love to hear yours, so be sure to check out the show notes for more information about how to stay in touch. Do good and take care.